The USS Lewis B puller does not look like a warship. No missile batteries, no sleek hull, just an oil tanker's body with a flight deck on top. Yet this $650 million sea base has quietly shaped American operations across the Middle East. In December 2022, teams launched from its deck to seize a weapons cache in the Gulf of Oman. Why did the Navy bet on something this unconventional? Fixed bases in the Middle East have never been a sure thing. Over the past 2 decades, access to ports and airfields has shifted with every political crisis. Host nations have revoked permissions overnight, leaving U.S. forces scrambling for alternatives. At the same time, the risk of mines and small boat attacks has made shore facilities and anchored ships vulnerable in places like the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab al-Mandeb. The Navy needed a way to project power and sustain operations without relying on fragile agreements or exposed infrastructure. Traditional warships, with their high costs and obvious profiles, were not built for this kind of uncertainty. What the region demanded was not speed or heavy armament, but a platform that could linger for months, support a range of missions, and operate as sovereign U.S. territory wherever it dropped anchor. This meant rethinking the idea of a base not as a patch of land, but as a movable piece of real estate. The answer would come from a place few expected, the commercial oil tanker industry. By adapting a civilian hull, the Navy could keep costs down and build something designed for endurance, not for show. In a region where alliances shift and threats evolve, the ability to quietly maintain a floating stronghold has become its own form of influence. The story of the USS Lewis B puller starts with this strategic gap, a need for presence that is not tied to any one port, but can shape the entire region from just over the horizon. At 785 feet long and 164 feet wide, the USS Lewis B puller stands out in any harbor, but not for the reasons most expect from a Navy ship. Its broad, flat deck and boxy silhouette comes straight from its roots as an Alaska-class oil tanker. This was a deliberate choice. General Dynamics NASSCO engineers took a proven commercial hull and adapted it, trading the sharp lines and heavy armor of a destroyer for sheer volume and stability. The result is less a warship and more an industrial complex, one that can remain on station for weeks at a time. The heart of this endurance is the diesel-electric propulsion system. Unlike gas turbines built for speed, these engines are tuned for efficiency. They allow the puller to loiter in the Gulf or Red Sea for extended periods, burning less fuel and requiring fewer maintenance stops. One NASSCO engineer put it simply: "We designed her to be a platform that stays put, not to chase submarines. That means the ship can serve as a persistent base, ready to launch helicopters or small boats at a moment's notice, without the pressure to dash from one crisis to the next." The scale of the platform is what enables this presence. The massive beam provides stability for flight operations, while the deep draft keeps the ship steady even in rough seas. Every inch of the hull is used, whether for aviation fuel, spare parts, or the machinery needed to support long deployments. This is not about overwhelming firepower, but about giving commanders a reliable piece of real estate wherever the Navy needs it most. The engineering choices made here set the stage for what the puller can do in the air and on the water, capabilities that would soon shape real-world operations. On deck, the Lewis B puller looks more like a floating airfield than a warship. The flight deck stretches the length of a city block, with space for 4 heavy-lift helicopters to operate at once, CH-53s or MH-53s, each the size of a city bus. Unlike a carrier, there is no catapult or arresting wires. Instead, the wide, open surface is built for launching and recovering helicopters around the clock, supporting everything from mine countermeasures to special operations. Below the deck, a compact hangar keeps 2 more helicopters ready for quick turnaround, while maintenance crews work through the night swapping out parts and prepping for the next sortie. What makes daily life aboard Puller different is not just the hardware, it is the people running it. The ship runs on a hybrid model, part civilian mariners from Military Sealift Command, and part uniformed Navy sailors. Civilian engineers handle propulsion, navigation, and logistics, drawing on decades of merchant marine experience. Navy personnel take charge of mission planning, flight operations, and security. This division lets the ship run lean, with civilian expertise keeping the engines humming while Navy teams focus on readiness and response. At the top, a Navy captain holds ultimate authority, balancing the traditions of military command with the practical know-how of a commercial crew. The result is a rhythm that feels more like a busy port than a combat ship, with helicopters cycling through, cargo moving from deck to mission modules, and teams rotating in and out for specialized tasks. Every day, the Puller operates as a self-sufficient base, sustaining missions that would otherwise require a network of vulnerable shore facilities. The ship's real strength lies in this blend of people and platform, quietly enabling U.S. presence wherever it is needed most. On August 17, 2017, a ceremony unfolded at Khalifa bin Salman Port in Bahrain that quietly changed the rules for U.S. presence in the Gulf. The USS Lewis B Puller became the first U.S.-built ship ever commissioned overseas, a move that went far beyond tradition. By commissioning the Puller as a full warship in Bahrain, the Navy unlocked new authorities under the law of armed conflict, enabling the ship to conduct mine countermeasures, special operations, and direct support missions that a non-commissioned vessel could not legally perform. This legal transformation was not just a formality, it was a calculated response to the realities of the region, where port access and basing rights can vanish overnight. The Puller's new status allowed it to relieve the aging USS Ponce as the 5th Fleet's afloat staging base, taking over as the Navy's permanent sea platform in Manama. No longer a stopgap or a temporary visitor, the Puller became a fixture in the Gulf, always present, always ready, and operating as sovereign U.S. territory wherever it anchored. This persistent forward deployment gave American commanders an asset that could support operations across the Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and Red Sea without the need for fragile land bases. The ship's legal and operational shift was more than a change of name or flag. It signaled to allies and adversaries alike that the U.S. could sustain complex missions in the region without relying on the whims of host nations. From its Bahrain home port, the Puller integrated fully into 5th Fleet tasking, supporting everything from maritime security to crisis response. Its presence has become a quiet constant in the Gulf, a floating compound shaping daily operations and regional dynamics one mission at a time. On December 1, 2022, the USS Lewis B Puller put its quiet endurance to the test in the Gulf of Oman. Navy boarding teams launched from the ship, intercepting a stateless fishing trawler suspected of running weapons from Iran to Yemen. The boarding uncovered more than 1 million rounds of 7.62 millimeter ammunition, 25,000 rounds of 12.7 millimeter ammunition, nearly 7,000 rocket proximity fuses, and over 2,100 kilograms of RPG propellant, over 50 tons of illicit cargo hidden below deck. This was not a dramatic missile strike or a high-speed chase. It was the kind of persistent, methodical operation only possible from a floating base that can linger for weeks, launch boats and helicopters on demand, and support teams far from any friendly port. In a region shaped by smuggling and proxy conflict, the The puller's value is measured in seizures like this, tangible proof that a platform built for staying power can quietly change the course of events. The puller's steady presence has not gone unnoticed. In January 2024, Houthi forces publicly claimed to have attacked the ship in the Gulf of Aden, a statement the Pentagon quickly denied, confirming no damage or engagement. Even without a single missile being fired, the claim itself became a tool in a broader messaging war. For regional actors, targeting the puller in words, if not in reality, serves to project power and shape public perception. The ship's visibility as a permanent fixture in the Gulf makes it a symbol as much as a platform. Being indispensable comes with a price. Every operation, every deployment risks drawing unwanted attention and becoming the subject of propaganda, regardless of what actually happens at sea. Out here, power isn't just about sleek hulls or heavy armament, it is persistent presence, delivered by a ship that looks like real estate, not a weapon. As contested access defines tomorrow's conflicts, the Navy's quiet investment in platforms like this shapes outcomes before headlines ever break. What do you think?